Now, following the current electoral upheavals around the world, including Donald Trump's victory in the United States elections and the UK Brexit, the French presidential vote is one of the several in Europe being closely monitored right now. Among the total candidates, 5 are currently considered the most serious, and the next president could be among them. François Fillon, a conservative from the centre-right Republican Party, Benoît Hamon of the mainstream left-wing Socialist Party, who has dropped to single digits in the polls, Marine Le Pen, the leader of the far-right National Front, who has drawn a lot of attention because of her stance on immigration. Then there is Emmanuel Macron, an independent centrist, and lastly Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who a hard-left candidate who created the France Unbowed movement.
With just 3 days to the first round of presidential elections, President of the National Front Marine Le Pen and centrist leader Emmanuel Macron still lead in the race. They are at the top in 5 regions, according to the latest pollsters. To help the undecided to choose, the 11 candidates participated in a live televised debate on France 2. They were each interviewed for 15 minutes before ending up together at the end of the broadcast for a carte blanche. But the session was interrupted with the announcement of a shooting on the Champs-Élysées around 10 p.m. local time.
Retransmission pour une carte blanche, mais la session a été interrompue par l'annonce de la fusillade des Champs-Élysées autour de 22 heures. Avec nous ce matin pour explorer.
With us this morning to explore the stakes in these elections is Seydik Abba, a journalist with Monde Afrique in Paris. Seydik Abba, you've been following this campaign that has been marred with different issues, like the financial scandal involving the wife of François Fillon, and then Macron, who has appealed to many, and Mélenchon, who returned to the race. What was the major one?
Oui, je crois que globalement, le fait majeur est pour moi qui ai vécu une...
I think that in general, the major event experienced during the previous campaigns is the election uncertainty in which we find ourselves in. Because 48 hours to the voting, nobody can say these are the 2 favorites of the polls, since the gap between the first 4, Macron, Le Pen, Mélenchon and Fillon, have tightened to the point that today we are faced with this uncertainty of 3 points between the different candidates. And this tightening of the race between the candidates were triggered by the cases you have mentioned. That's my take on this, but as an African, I'm concerned about the absence of Africa in the debate during the campaign. We felt the presence of Europe, of the Syrian crisis, relations between France and the United States.
On a senti la présence de la crise syrienne, des relations entre la France et les États-Unis, mais l'Afrique...
But Africa, which is a partner of France, where France has a significant military presence, was not present at all. And from my point of view, it's a lesson to be learned from the 2017 election campaign. In regards to this, which candidate is the most likely to bring about the much-awaited change in the relationship between France and its former colonies? The few taken positions that have been expressed about Africa today allows to see the emerging sensitivities. A candidate like Mélenchon said that there has to be an end to the dominant position of France towards its former colonial powers and to redistribute the cards so that France has much more equitable relations with Africa. It is a sensitivity. It's a point of view we've not heard from the other candidates. Similarly, Benoît Hamon engaged himself to be on the side of the African people, on the side of African civil societies, than on the side of African dictators. This is also another point of view, but otherwise, in general, on the issue of the increase of public assistance to development, all of them had one voice on the consolidation of relations between France and the former colonies. All agreed, but Mélenchon and Hamon distinguished themselves in the desire to get things straight on the relations between France and Africa to start off on a new foot.
De mettre à plat les relations entre la France et l'Afrique pour repartir d'un nouveau pied.
But you know the saying, once bitten, twice shy. We saw Hollande promise the dismantling of the France-Afrique relationship when he was not president. And we know that what this commitment became after his 5 years in power.
Un dernier point.
A last question. The diaspora will also vote, but to whom will they give the vote to?
Vers qui devrait-elle porter son vote, à votre avis?
Habituellement, la diaspora vote à gauche.
Usually the diaspora votes left because of their position on immigration issues. They have a somewhat more progressive sensitivity. It was felt during this campaign. A candidate like Marine Le Pen will put an end to immigration, even legal immigration. There will be a moratorium for any stranger to go to France. Fillon also said that it would be necessary to reconsider the question of immigration, how France welcomes foreigners, while the two leftist candidates have a somewhat more open vision. This would obviously take the diaspora to the left, but there's bitterness of this diaspora today because they had voted massively for Hollande. They hoped that he would stick to his commitments to immigration and the dismantling of the France-Africa suburbs.
Elle avait espéré que François Hollande tiendrait des engagements envers les banlieues, envers l'immigration.
Today we therefore find ourselves in a situation where the diaspora vote will be scattered among the different candidates.
Le vote va être réparti entre les différents candidats.